Good afternoon, everyone. Welcome in. Work is just kicking my butt right now. Work is just kicking my butt right now. Just a bunch of stuff going on, trying to fix and trying to take care of. But we're here. We got Hawks Locks today. We're going to preview. What could happen. Some interesting things. If you guys have been watching for let's see, how do I want to approach this one? So I went to the playoff machine. I went to the NFL playoff machine and started playing around with what would happen with each team winning. And I'm actually going to do that today because what switches around in just 1 week with different teams winning will show exactly how wild the close of this season can be. So last week I went first ever 6-0 week in my picks. And this week I'm going to start kind of throwing a couple more picks out there. Obviously I got Hawks Locks and everything else. But here's something to be able to throw out at you. So let's go through this week, okay? And this is going to be what-if scenarios. That is 100% true. It is what-if scenarios. So let's go through the AFC right now. The AFC, the current playoff picture is the Patriots 1, Broncos 2, Jacksonville 3, Baltimore 4, Buffalo is at number 7, India 6, and the Chargers are at 5. This thing switches around so fast, it's not even funny. Starting with tonight, the NFC right now is Chicago 1, Rams 2, Philly 3, Tampa 4, Seattle 5, Green Bay 6, and San Francisco 7. Now, there's a really big game this week. There is a really, really, really big game this week in Lambeau Field. Probably one of the biggest games between the Packers and Bears in recent memory. I mean, it's huge. So, let's say for sake of argument that Jacksonville beats the Colts at home this week. Jacksonville's home, we're going to give the nod to the home team. Let's say that the Ravens beat the Steelers at home. The Lions beat the Cowboys tonight. Seattle beats Atlanta. Philadelphia, I don't know which way I'm going in this game. I've got till tomorrow to decide. But let's say for a second, on Monday Night Football, injured hand doesn't work great for Herbert, and Philadelphia somehow figures out how to beat the Chargers. Rams beat the Cardinals. Broncos beat the Raiders. And then you've got these two games. The Bengals at the Bills and the Texans at the Chiefs in the AFC. Then you have the Bears against the Packers in the NFC. And I'm sitting here and I'm going, okay, how much does it affect what happens? So, here's the cool thing. If Houston beats the Chiefs and the Bengals beat the Bills, Houston not only gets into the playoffs, they leapfrog to number 5 in the AFC. If they can beat a Chiefs team where they will be without their left tackle, Simmons, they will potentially be without their right tackle, Taylor, although he's not great. He's a B right tackle. Having the backups in there against Will Anderson and Hunter doesn't make anybody feel all fuzzy inside. And then you look at that game, and let's just say because they're home, Green Bay gets the win, okay? If Green Bay gets the win against Chicago and everything else plays out the way we just said, Philly beats the Chargers, Rams beat the Cardinals, everybody wins, Chicago would go from 1st to 7th in the NFC playoff picture. And the Packers would move to 2nd. Now, if the Chiefs beat the Texans, okay, then the Texans are still out of the playoffs. The Chiefs don't get in because they lose the head-to-head against Buffalo. Buffalo would be sitting at 7 and would control that spot head-to-head over the Kansas City Chiefs, even with a loss. So let's say the Chargers win on Monday night and the Texans beat the Chiefs. Houston moves to 6, leapfrogs, and Indianapolis is then 8-5 at 7. Then let's say the Bears beat the Packers. The Bears beat the Packers and everything else plays out the way we said. Currently, nothing really changes. And actually, I like the matchups in the NFC a lot more. A lot more. Why? Green Bay at the Rams kind of intrigues me. McVay against LaFleur. That defense for Green Bay against Stafford, I do not get the hype of the Packers. I don't. I've watched them play multiple times this year. They don't look great. Don't tell me they look great when they really didn't look much better than what the Giants did against the Lions on Thanksgiving. Something's not right there. Something isn't right there. Now, as we move forward, see, with how this weekend plays out, it then really switches around because the very next week, Cincinnati plays Baltimore. And that will be a massive game. The Bills play the Patriots. The Colts play the Seahawks. The Packers are at Denver. The Lions play the Rams. It becomes amazing. Absolutely amazing. But this weekend, let's say the Colts win. Okay, if the Colts win and the Chiefs win, okay, you are now looking at Buffalo being 7, Jacksonville 6, and the Chargers are 5 if they lose to Philadelphia. It can flip-flop like that. But Chicago can go from 1st to 7th, depending on how everything plays out if they lose to Green Bay. 1st to 7th. Tell you what, that sucks. That absolutely sucks. So, let's look at these games now. Let's go in and let's start playing now. Let's see. There we go. Yes, left tackle Simmons is actually out for at least 4 games with a wrist injury. Taylor is, I believe, will be a game time decision. Herbert, with his hand surgery that he just had. Listen, we saw what Rodgers had to do last week against the Bills. Vic Fangio, it will not be something, it's not being mean. You take advantage of the issues. And you can only pitch the ball to the right. You can't hand it off. It's going to be basic pitches, tosses to the right because you can't turn around and use the left hand. Because of that, I think Fangio, and this is the way I'm kind of leaning for my pick 6, I think that defense is able to kind of tee off. I think the Bills' defense, when they figured out what Rodgers had to do, is why that defense looked pretty good last week. They were able to tee off. They were able to blitz from that backside where he could hand the ball off going to the left side, but he couldn't do anything else. So I really believe this week, Philly, it's a bad injury for a quarterback. It does restrict you. And that's, about as simple as it gets. All right, here we go. Let's look at some of the games this week. We'll do Hawks locks. And we're going to start with tonight. Tonight's game is massive. Because if the Cowboys win and the Chargers somehow beat Philadelphia on Monday Night Football, don't look now, but the Cowboys would only be a game behind Philadelphia. And if they end up, I don't think they can do it. Let's say they would end up 10-6-1, and Philly ends up 10-7. The Cowboys somehow win the NFC East. And Nick Sirianni gets fired. That too. But this weekend, some of these lines I don't understand. Tonight, the Lions are favored by 3 at home against the Cowboys. It's in a dome. I think the over-under is at 54.5. I'm definitely taking the over. I think tonight's going to be electric. I think the offensive line for the Cowboys is young and starting to gel. I think Detroit can win tonight. But it's going to be tough because that offensive line for the Cowboys is getting a good run push. You got Pickens and Lamb. I believe Arnold is out, the corner for the Lions. If the Cowboys win, it definitely won't shock me. But I think the Lions really feel like Thanksgiving, they put themselves behind a massive 8 ball. Massive 8 ball. Beating the Packers would have made the run more feasible. And I think right now, with the way everything is, the Lions are going to understand. Dan Campbell's going to understand. Dak Prescott has been playing out of his mind. And I think there could be fireworks tonight. But I'm going to give the nod to the Lions. I trust Dan Campbell a little bit more than Brian Schottenheimer, but it depends on whether or not Campbell can get out of his way with the fourth down calls. Kick the field goal. You've got a great field goal kicker. Kick the field goal. Get points. This year, a lot. People are learning get points. Points still win games. Newsflash, breaking news. Points is still how that is amazingly exactly what we do. We play to see who gets the most points. So I think they're going to understand, the Lions will understand how much they need tonight. And I think they may only pull it out by 3. Very, very real. Very real opportunity, but I think they'll get it. All right. So when you look at Sunday's slate, the Bengals at the Bills, I don't get this line. Last week, the Bengals were 7-point underdogs to the Ravens. I never understood that one. You guys know I picked the Bengals outright. The Bills, what have they done to deserve a 5.5-point favorite against Joe Burrow, Jamar Chase, and T. Higgins is back? Has their defense done anything to say that this game is not going to be a shootout from the Wild West? Do I think Buffalo is going to be able to run up and down the field on that defense? Yep. Do I think potentially Cincinnati is going to be able to run up and down on the defense? Yep. Joe Burrow came out on fire last week. Jamar Chase is only 29 yards away from 1,000 receiving yards on the season again, and that's what Joe Burrow hurt for a bunch of it. I see this game as being really, really close. This game is massive for the Bengals push. They need this game to be able to have the legitimate shot at winning the AFC North. If they go to 5-8, if they beat the Bills and go 5-8, they will be 2 games back of the Ravens. Well, they play the Ravens next week. Next week, they're home against Baltimore. I don't trust Baltimore right now. The injuries are so many. It's worse. It's almost as bad as the Lions' defense last year. And injuries happen. But I just don't know if Baltimore has the guy. Look at what they did. Cincinnati, on the road, absolutely smoked Baltimore. You know, I don't think this week we got the Ravens and Steelers. I don't know who to pick in that game. I know who I want to pick. I want to believe Baltimore at home is going to win. But what if it's an ugly game? Lamar doesn't look right whatsoever. What if TJ Watt hits him once? Is he just going to fall? There are so many questions right now. The AFC North is wild. AFC South is wild. NFC West is wild. NFC North is wild. It's great. You got to love it. All right. A game that nobody's really going to watch, or I guess 2 games. They'll be in my picks, though, because they're only 2.5-point spreads. The Commanders and the Vikings is a very intriguing game. Why? Because of the draft pick situation. I think the Commanders have a shot against Minnesota. Marcus Mariota, the Commanders' offense, against, if it's Max Brosmer for the Vikings, I will say the Commanders will probably end up winning. J.J. McCarthy for the Vikings, I think they win, get to 5-8, just because as bad as McCarthy is, Brosmer is worse. It's definitely worse. Another game that's really intriguing to me that has draft positioning on the line, the Jets are at home against the Dolphins, and the Dolphins are only favored by 2.5. I really, really think that is a telltale sign of how this is going to go. The Dolphins do not have. Tua Tagovailoa this year has 17 touchdowns, 14 interceptions. 17 touchdowns, 14 interceptions. The Jets, that big win against Atlanta, yes, they struggle with getting in their own way. I 1,000% agree with you on that. But I really, really believe they've got that opportunity to get a 2-game win streak. I think they can end up winning 5 games by the end of this year. Aaron Glenn, I believe, will be on an upward trajectory. They've got all those draft picks. Remember, they got 2 picks in the first round, 2 picks in the second round this upcoming draft. They can revamp the defense. They can revamp the offensive line. The quarterback issue is still going to be there. In fact, I don't know what you want to do if you're the Jets. Because I'm not willing to trade my 2 first-round picks to move up for Mendoza. You need a quarterback, and I understand that. But I don't want to take away from what I have in the future. Remember, 2027, I've got 3 first-round picks in 2027. Can you convince yourself, if you're the Jets, to play for 7 or 8 wins in 2026 and understand this is the process? This is not the Patriots, okay? This is not the Broncos. They're revamping everything, and there's a lot more salary cap and players that they're trying to move around and move off of. This offseason, we got Breece Hall. You don't know what's going to happen with him. Jermaine Johnson, the defensive end. Don't know what's going to happen with him. So if they were to get a guy if they were to sign Marcus Mariota to be the starter for next year, Marcus Mariota has not done a bad job in Washington. If you use those 4 picks and you hit on 3 of those 4 in the first 2 rounds, you sign Marcus Mariota. I mean, I would even be okay with running with Tyrod Taylor. I don't think Tyrod Taylor is a bad option. I have said this for a very long time. I have never understood why Tyrod Taylor just isn't the starter. It's not a flashy move, but he's the veteran. I think the Jets can close out this year in a semi-strong fashion. I think it'll work. And I don't want to break the bank for something that can potentially happen. You got the Buccaneers hosting the Saints. Mayfield is going to be playing. Everything right there should be copacetic. You've got the Broncos at the Raiders, so the Raiders should lose again. And the Titans are playing the Browns, so the Titans should win, or Titans should lose again at Cleveland. And there's a big part of me that thinks I think Myles Garrett may break the sack record this weekend. And a little bit of a note here. Cam Ward has thrown for 2,351 passing yards this year, okay? Contrast, Tua's thrown for 2,280. You want to know his interception ratio right now? He's getting sacked, guys. He's not turning the ball over in the air. He only has 6 interceptions. He only has 6 interceptions. And the reason I bring this up is because it's easy to just pile on when you're in a horrible situation. Look what happened with Drake May last year. I said it. I was like, no, this guy's fine. This guy is really good. He just needs a legitimate coach and legitimate line. So I'm going to say it again this year. And people are probably going to tell me I'm crazy. Cam Ward is just fine. He needs a legitimate coach and an offensive line that's going to play together. That's what he needs. It's that simple. And I am excited for who the Titans may get. Now, if they get a bum, then I'll be really upset for Cam Ward. I will be. I will be upset for Cam Ward. They cannot bring in a bum to take over that organization. They just can't. All right. So, let's jump into the 10,000-foot view of sports because we got some NBA news. And this isn't great. This isn't great. All right, so Giannis has a calf strain. He is out for 2 to 4 weeks. Okay? The Bucks are currently talking with Giannis about what the best move is for him. Now remember, he's committed to the Bucks. Okay? And Giannis has been injured. Okay? You can't rate the team when you're not there. You are the one that is supposed to be leading this basketball team and pushing everything through. You are currently sitting at 10th in the Eastern Conference. No big deal. You're 10-13. You're 3 games below 500. Not a big deal. But you knew this. You knew this, Giannis. They signed Miles Turner, and you get injured. And now you're like, well, I'm wondering what the best plan for my future is. Well, if you're injured all the time, there is no good plan. Honestly, you don't need it. I don't know if you would. The Bucks, I said last year, should trade him. If you're trying to reset everything, then yeah, trade him. This is going to be interesting because Giannis is going to get a haul, as he should. But it's going to be on him being healthy whether or not he actually helps the new team or not. I don't know if he ends up leaving. The trade deadline is 2 months away. It's February 5th. It's 2 months away. He's supposed to be out for potentially one of those 2 months. I just don't think anything can be done right now, and I hope he plays January so they can figure out what they need to do at the deadline. Another one is Chris Paul got released, and it took everybody by surprise. And James Harden came out and goes, I am just as shocked as you guys are. Nobody saw it coming. Well, the Clippers are bad. It's definitely not Chris Paul's fault. That is not anywhere close to what it is. And like I said yesterday, I think he would be great waiting, signing after the deadline, enjoying the holiday season with his family, and then picking a team to go join. I think that'd work for him really well. You do have some interesting developments. So last night, look at these games last night. Portland beats the Cavaliers 122-110. The Nuggets knocked off the Pacers. They can't seem to freaking get out of their way. 135-120. The Spurs and the Magic were an absolutely amazing game. 114-112. The Spurs got the win. The Clippers won last night. They beat the Hawks 115-92. Knicks beat Charlotte 119-104. Brooklyn won again 113-103 over the Bulls. The Rockets beat the Kings 121-95. The Kings are not what anybody thought they would be at all. The Bucks beat the Pistons 113-109, and the Mavericks beat the Heat 118-108. Now, the number one team in basketball is still the Oklahoma City Thunder. They are 21-1. Their point differential is currently at 15 points. That is the point differential for the Oklahoma City Thunder. It's pretty good. It's pretty good. And the Brooklyn Nets winning gave them a buffer, but the Indiana Pacers are now 4-18. And it's already so bad in Indianapolis. I shouldn't be laughing because it's sad. It's already so bad. They've got $5 ticket nights for the Pacers now. I'm not kidding. It's so bad they now have $5 ticket nights for the Indiana Pacers. Oh, man. That's awesome. I'm sorry. That's when you know stuff is in. That's when you know stuff's in trouble. On tap tonight. Golden State is at Philadelphia tonight. Boston at Washington. Utah at Brooklyn. The Lakers head to Toronto, and the Timberwolves play the Pelicans again. All right. Major League Baseball. I love this. So Sonny Gray was just traded from the Cardinals to the Red Sox. And he gets there, and one of his first comments is, with the Boston Red Sox, it's easy to hate the Yankees. That's a great statement. That is an absolutely great statement. So he's already all in on the rivalry. I love it. I love it. Absolutely fantastic. All right, in hockey, last night, Dallas blanked the New Jersey Devils 3-0. Montreal Canadiens in a shootout beat the Winnipeg Jets 3-2. Philadelphia Flyers beat the Buffalo Sabres 5-2. The Ducks got blanked by the Mammoth 7-0. And then the Washington Capitals beat the San Jose Sharks 7-1. Looking at the standings in NHL, we have got Tampa Bay Lightning leading the Atlantic Conference right now, or Atlantic Division, 16-8-2. The Metropolitan Division is being led by the Washington Capitals at 17-9-2. The Colorado Avalanche are 19-1-6. They only have one outright loss. One outright loss. It's wild. Absolutely wild. And then the Pacific Division, you've got the Ducks, 16-10-1, but the Vegas Knights are 12-6-8. The Kings are 12-7-7. And the Sharks are 13-12-3. the Pacific Division is one of those where I don't know who in the world is going to win that division. I will say the Colorado Avalanche look amazing. They really do. And a team that I can't believe is at the bottom is the Panthers. The Panthers are currently 12-12-1. They only have one overtime loss. They are 12-12-1 and at the bottom of the Atlantic Division, and that is a shock. They have lost 3 in a row, and it doesn't look great out there in Florida. It does not look great down there in Florida whatsoever. All right. Let's move. Let's talk about college football for a second. Because we got developing things. So number one, Brian Hartline took the job as head coach of the South Florida Bulls. I like that move for him. I really do. It's the American Conference. I think it's relatively easy. I like that move for Brian Hartline. And I think it was a really solid hire by USF. Then there's this, now you've got all these stories coming out. Lane Kiffin messed up. I'm sorry. People love controversy. Controversy drives the media. He's not polarizing. He's not good enough for this level of coverage. It's just because of what's going on, how messy it is. It makes it fun to talk about. I don't want to talk about that. I want to talk about what is coming out now. The stories about how everything's coming out. Lane Kiffin tried to paint himself as a decent human being in how he exited Ole Miss, saying he would have coached if they would have let him. The players have come out and said, no, he wouldn't. He had no interest. The players have said they kind of knew he was leaving anyway. The players have said they feel betrayed, and there may not be many that he gets in the transfer portal. The AD for Ole Miss. Listen, LSU is crazy. The pressure is crazy. This was not about money. This was about, Lane Kiffin being an idiot. And now you've got LSU recruits that have not signed yet, and it's a big deal. It is a big deal. Kirk Ferentz is back for his 28th season in Iowa. I really believe Ferentz has earned the right, with the way the games are played, how close they are. They always get really good football games in Iowa. I'm never firing Ferentz. I'm just not. Ferentz is one heck of a coach. They don't have a ton of NIL money, but they're good enough. They're good enough. I really believe it's the team. You don't want to play Iowa. Iowa is a bad matchup for a lot of teams, and they cause a lot of headaches for a lot of teams. I love Iowa. Always have, and I love the great. To me, I want Iowa on TV at least once a year. I do. Because, and I'm talking about the main, I want them on Big Noon Kickoff. Because their tradition at the end of the first quarter probably is the one that it tugs at me a lot. When everybody in the stadium turns and waves at the kids in the children's hospital. Some of you may not know. We went through a 2-year stretch with my son my oldest, in and out of the hospital a lot. A lot. I'm the sports guy. And I can just imagine, and I'm sitting here and imagining if on one of those Saturdays that I'm sitting in that room with my son, that number one, I'm able to watch the game, but number two, my son is there waving to thousands and thousands and thousands of people. And it is on purpose and a concerted effort. It is one of my favorite in-game traditions there is. And I believe it deserves to be on TV at least once a year as the primary game. Because that is something that matters. Iowa is special. Iowa is very special. They are a special program. The consistency with Iowa is amazing. So Ferentz is back for his 28th year. Kansas State's head coach, Kleeman, is going to retire. Chris Kleeman told the plan that he would retire yesterday. And they're just going to kind of move in. And I know there's a lot of people that may not love this idea. But former quarterback Chris Klein is in line to take the position. Klein is expected to stay with Texas A&M through the playoff run that they have, but he is expected to then get the job offer at Kansas State University. So Kansas State already has their new head coach kind of set up, which is good, which is very, 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 very good. All right, Virginia Tech. Virginia Tech had a pretty good recruiting day. Pretty good recruiting day. Penn State doesn't have a head coach, and they're getting blasted for how they've handled this. This could get really interesting. But the way that it just got split. I believe if Penn State already had a head coach, they would not have lost as many players as they did in the signing in the signing class. Okay. James Franklin got hired November 17th at Virginia Tech. 11 commits swapped from Penn State to Virginia Tech. That's not transfers. That's recruiting. That part I understand. James Franklin recruited you. You're going to a school that has legitimacy. Virginia Tech is a legitimate college. James Franklin is going to try to make them into an even better one. So there is all that. And you got a recruiting class. They got 11 guys that used to be Penn State's. They're now Virginia Tech's. James Franklin. We got to see what happens in the transfer portal. James Franklin, though, can turn this around really quick. Virginia is not going to be the top dog in the ACC. Nor is Miami. It will go back to being Hokieville, and I cannot wait for it because that's exactly how it should be. All right. So, College Football Conference Championship weekend. Troy is playing James Madison for the Sun Belt Championship. James Madison is 25th in the country right now at 11-1. North Texas is one spot in front of them at number 24, 11-1, and they're playing Tulane. So if North Texas beats Tulane and James Madison beats Troy, they will both be 12-1. But North Texas already has the nod, and they're going to beat a ranked opponent for their conference championship game. On Saturday, BYU is the thing that can just wreck the college football playoff. They can wreck everything about it. BYU and Texas Tech. If BYU can get the win, BYU gets into the college football playoff. Now, here's the thing. Here is the interesting thing. Remember, Alabama is now 9. Notre Dame is now 10. They showed, the committee did last year, that they don't want to penalize necessarily for losing your conference championship game. Now, Texas is whining. Okay, I am not in the boat with Texas. Your non-conference, you had 4 non-conference games. Week number 1, Ohio State. We've learned. Week 1, you just throw out. Sorry, week number 1, you throw out. It's that simple. Week number 1 in college football is like week number 1 in the NFL. Throw it out. The Raiders beat the Patriots week 1. Remember that? Raiders beat the Patriots week number 1. Yeah, how's it gone since? There it is. So Texas has no ability to whine and complain. They lost to Florida. They had a horrible win over Kentucky, a horrible win over Mississippi State. They beat Vanderbilt by 3. They almost let them completely back in the game. And they beat a Texas A&M team when Marcel Reed got injured. That's reality. It's why they don't deserve to be in the playoff. Vanderbilt only has two losses. And guess what they've done? They won at Virginia Tech. They won against Charleston Southern, Utah State, Georgia State. They played the cupcakes just like Texas. Their losses, they lost by 3 at Texas, and they lost at Alabama. Alabama kind of handled them. Diego Pavia, remember, that was the game. He just kept throwing interceptions down in the red zone. He did not have a great game, and he lost the game for Vandy because Vandy had Alabama stymied. It was on Pavia. I came right on here. And I said, Diego is the reason they lost. Then they lost at Texas, but they beat up on Kentucky. They beat up on Tennessee. They beat Missouri. They beat LSU. They beat everybody. I like Vanderbilt, and I like Vanderbilt for the future. So we'll see where it goes. But the way the rankings are, if you're not going to penalize Alabama for losing the SEC championship game, I don't know how you can't. And here's why. I don't think Alabama's better than Notre Dame on the field. Notre Dame plays a cupcake schedule being an FBS independent. If I am anybody that's trying to make a decision on the future of the college football playoff, my number one thing is I am going to look straight at Notre Dame and I'm going to go either join the ACC or join the Big Ten, but join a conference. Because you will no longer get the benefit of the doubt and get to play. We understand we got these games that have been played all the time. USC, you got the Michigan State, you've got Syracuse, Stanford, Pitt, Navy. Listen, you're going to keep the Navy game no matter what. Okay? But you're going to actually play real teams. Yes, you open the year 0-2. Very close losses. I'll give that to you. You look good coming down the stretch. I'll give that to you. They beat USC. They beat Pitt. Destroyed Pittsburgh. I agree. I think they are absolutely the number 8 best team in college football. Fully believe it. But their cupcake schedule is hurting them, as it should. And if I am the college football playoff committee, or not the playoff committee, if I am the college football playoff overarching hierarchy, I am telling Notre Dame, in the future, and I love the 14-team playoff idea, clear paths for everybody. Everybody has a path to make it to the playoff. Everything is assigned, but you can require Notre Dame certain things to be able to get in the football playoff, because it's going to be an access-based system, not a selection-based system, and that will help. Notre Dame needs to join a conference. If you want to join the ACC, go do it. Go do it. Because could you run the ACC? Absolutely. Could you also end up stumbling a lot more because the ACC has teams that show up when you've got to go on the road? Absolutely. But at least it will give you some legitimacy, and then they can make the rest of the playoff access-based. I think Notre Dame is going to be at a crossroads here shortly because of it. And if they're smart, the SEC, Big 12, Big 10, ACC will look at Notre Dame and go, no more independent. The profit share is too much. You're making a bunch of money because of it, which is fine. But if you want a chance to play in the big dance, you've got to be a part of a conference. Notre Dame is going to fight. They're going to buck up against it as long as they possibly can. But just say that they got to win 11 games. And their strength of schedule has to be above XYZ. It's that simple. It's that simple. Make the clear path. I mean, we'll see what happens. All right, guys. I'm hoping tonight's better. The work is just all over the place right now. I am hoping it's better. I really am. We'll see what happens. Hopefully tomorrow we'll do Hawks Pick 6. Get the picks for the weekend. My gut says Detroit, but my head easily says Dallas can pull this one out today. So have fun watching Thursday Night Football this week. The games are massive, massive playoff implications sitting here in Week 14. Thank you guys so much for hanging out today. As always, I deeply appreciate it. Make sure to like, subscribe, share the podcast with a friend. Thank you guys ever so much. Until tomorrow, for Sports Talk with Hawk, I'm Hawk, and I'm out. Make it the best day you can.